Hello friends, David Vos here. Another beautiful day in Oklahoma. And yeah, it's a little chillier today, but it's real clear and beautiful blue skies. Well, I'm excited about this video today. And, for those of you who kind of regularly watch some of these videos, I recommend that you watch this one all the way through. Now, I don't know if it's going to end up being entertaining because, I never know what these videos are what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't got a script, but I have a couple thoughts in mind. I know that the subject that I want to talk about today could very well be, it ought to be, at least the subject matter, is more important than anything else I've talked about. And boy, we've talked about some important things. But sometimes, important things and things that are actually able to help us don't always overlap. If I could take you guys on a trip to Disneyland today, that might be something worth doing. You'd all like to go. I'm sure we'd have a good time. But it's only going to last a day. Of course, it'll be a good memory. But what if I could give you eternal life? Well, I can't give you eternal life, of course, but what if I could show you the pathway that leads to eternal life that you'd never seen before? Perhaps you were being told lies, and I could somehow, we've talked about this all the time. We're all being told lies. We know that. But what if I had some information that could really help you? Would you be willing to listen for an hour? Even if it was boring? Because I'm not going to promise you that this won't be boring at times. I doubt it, though, because the information is so important. And I don't think you've ever heard this information. I know I've talked a lot about so many different things. You'd say, well, Dave, I've heard a lot of your videos. I probably have heard this. I'm not going to talk about the things we've always talked about. This isn't going to be a repeat version of yesterday's video. It's not going to be something that we've talked much about at all, to be honest with you. And not in the way that we're going to describe it today. But let me start by saying that, so please watch and stay tuned. Please, if you really just on the hope, on the small possibility that I'm telling you the truth, that this could literally change everything in your life, for the better. I mean, oh, buddy, for the better. I guarantee it. Right? Then stay tuned. So, you know how we know what subject is important? Well, we know because if there was a really wise being, let's say God above, had some really important information for you. And he wrote it down in a book that he literally talked to prophets. And said, now I want you to write this stuff down because this is important stuff. Well, you'd probably be right if you thought maybe we should take a look at that. And we've done so. We've all got our holy books. But a lot of us read it from beginning to end, and we're like, well, I'm just about to the end of the chapter, and I can't figure out what's so important, Let me go back to Harry Potter. That was more exciting. Well, as we've said, there is more to that holy book than you've ever been told. There's a secret in there. You need to go back and read it again. Because if you knew the secret, it would definitely be more than worth it. Far more worth it than you've ever imagined. So let's say, because we only got an hour here, right? So we're going to try to get to the bottom of this in a couple of words, a couple of sentences strung together. We're going to try to do this. So in my mind, I'm sitting here, how am I going to express this so that you guys will get this. I mean, so that I can get this, so that we can grasp this, because it's complicated, and our conscious mind's always, thinking about food and sex and anger, and it's distracting us. So I've got to find a way to get to the point here, and I'm sorry it takes time. But you can think of this more like a ladder, okay? You want to get to the top. That's where your goal is. Everybody wants to get to the top. Just imagine that you want to get to the top. But you don't want to climb the ladder. Well, I understand. It's hard, So you think, well, is it worth it? I think so. Look at my friends up there. And they're dancing and singing, and oh, look at me. Oh, he's jumped off into the water. I want to try that. Okay. Well, you gotta take a plunge. It's difficult. You gotta have some nerve. And the first thing you gotta do is climb the ladder. All right. So you pull up your pants and, tighten your belt. And you kind of breathe in and breathe out and get your cup of coffee. Sit back, get your cup of coffee. This is going to be a little tough to wade through all this and try to remember what I'm saying and figure it out and imagine how it applies. But I guarantee I'm going to do the best I can to get us to the top here. So let's look at an ancient book. Let's open this. Oh my goodness, it looks golden plates, and there's little letters indented, and it's some kind of hieroglyphs. Oh, this must be important, right? The pharaohs was reading this. Thoth himself wrote it. Oh, what's this all about? Oh my goodness, I read the whole thing and I don't get it. All I see is a stupid little eye. The Eye of Horus. Well, that's pretty important. Well, we got that on the dollar bill. I wonder what that means, right there on the top of the pyramid. Well, I'm discouraged, Dave. I don't understand it. Got to open my third eye, you say? Well, that's great. I've been hearing that from every Swami guru and shaman since the birth of Adam and Eve. But, okay, we're still sitting here suffering, right? I'm still at the bottom of the tower, and I can't get up there so I can jump, because I want to have some fun too. All right, pardon me while I take a sip of coffee, because, got to be patient with the most precious, amazing stuff that you could ever imagine. Just be a little patient. We're going to get to it. So, there's a picture of the third eye. Well, what's that little gangly thing? It looks like there's an eye. Sure enough, looks like an eye. But on the left side, right where the pointy part of the eye, there's a little gangly thing hanging down. I wonder what they meant by that. Must be part of the symbolism that nobody's figured out. Oh, look on the other side. There's another little gangly thing, a little bigger. Makes a little hook. It's got a little hook on it. Oh, buddy Dave, you're really talking about some important stuff now. Now we're into hooks and eyes and... Oh, hang on. Do you know that's a picture of something called the thalamus gland? The hypothalamus inside your brain. It's right in the center of your brain. Well, how would you think... Why would you think that's the third eye, Dave? Are you getting you're drinking too much or something? It doesn't make it. I know a lot of people are saying this, but why is it an eye? Well, Jesus said it, He says, don't worry about your two eyes. It's looking around, In fact, Joshua went into the promised land, but not before he killed the 5 kings, the 5 senses. One of them's the eyes. One of them's the ears. And Jesus mentioned that because he says, I don't want you looking around with your eyes. I want you looking around with your eye. What? Yeah, whoever has eyes to see and ears that can actually hear. Those are the ones I'm talking to. And who is he? Who is he, this person talking to us? Oh, that's some guy named Jesus, Dave, and, he was a great guy and went around the land of Galilee, the man from Galilee. Well, he was a great teacher. But then he says, before he leaves the earth, I don't want a man to teach you. No man can teach you. But she, it's neuter in the Greek, but in everywhere else in every other language, it's a neuter, it's a feminine, it's a feminine gender. So, she will teach you all things that you need to know. I don't want no man to teach you. So who's the teacher? Well, Christ is the teacher. And he teaches the lessons of his father and his mother. Oh, yeah, he was born from a holy virgin mother. And, Proverbs chapter 8 says that Sophia, wisdom, Sophia, it says wisdom in our Bibles, but it's actually in the Greek Sophia. And then it says it's a feminine gender. And says, I was with God from the beginning. I am the master architect of the universe. I created everything, and I've got wisdom. I am Sophia. Listen to me. I am the teacher. Okay. Well, that screws that up because I don't know her. I can't learn because I don't know her. Well, you don't know God either, and that's the problem. But you got to know them. The Apostle Paul says, our mother is in heaven. I'm not talking about your mommy on earth or your daddy on earth. I'm talking about your heavenly father and your heavenly mother. Because she is our mother and she is free. Not this woman on earth that's in bondage with her children. So now we're beginning to see there's a little bit of symbolism here. And in order to see her, our Father in heaven and our Mother in heaven, and listen to Jesus, who is the Word, the spokesman from God, he says, I want you to, I'm going to tell you about the Father and the Holy Spirit. She's going to teach you all things. I'm going to tell you. Come unto me, all ye who thirst. All right. So you come unto him, and you get the Bible, and you open it up, and you start reading it. You don't understand it. There's that darn eye again. If your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. Oh, great Jesus. Now another riddle. Riddle me this one. Oh, Jesus. That's not doing me no good. Explain it, please. Okay. Well, that's what we're going to do. The Bible explains itself, but you've never been given the understanding because the church, probably doesn't know. First of all, they don't know the answers. And again, remember we promised we're not going to go back over all of that. Okay, but let's just move on here. So let's get to the point. What does it mean? Well, it goes all the way back to the Egyptian pharaohs and that pyramid and the eye of Osiris and the eye of Horus. And that eye is your spiritual eye. And it's actually inside. It's amazing. The Bible is actually a science book. It's telling you all kinds of stuff, right? There's this river of life flowing from your innermost being, Jesus says. I thought he was talking about paradise. Yeah, he is. Don't you remember? The Apostle Paul says he went unto the third heaven, whether in the body or out of the body, he was not going to say. But he says, I know a man, I'm talking about my inner spiritual man, because of my flesh I will not boast, he says. But, that spiritual Paul, right, in spirit, I went unto the third heaven, and I went unto paradise. Oh, they're the same thing, isn't it? The third heaven and paradise, same thing. Okay. And he says, I heard unspeakable words that it's not lawful for me to say. Wow, this is powerful. Oh, buddy. But he says, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot say. So, yeah, it is in paradise. It's within you. Remember, Jesus went into God, right? He ascended. What is it? The ascended, but also that he descended into the lower regions of the earth. So the temple has got this courtyard, which is the material, and you got to get into the center, into the holy place. And that's where Christ went. And we have boldness to enter in through the curtain. And whatsoever we ask, we shall receive. That's what we want, because we want to receive. Of course, we're not going to be asking anything other than, I want joy. I want to be happy. I want to be complete. I want to be saved from this wicked world. I want to be full of joy. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be sad. I want to have life, and that more abundantly. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure something out here today. And I don't mean just something you can meddle around with in your mind and say, well, that sounds really great. I love this. I'm going to go tell everybody. No, this is not even something you need to even tell anybody. You could just do it. And they'll see it. They'll see it. They'll see what's going to happen. because this is really amazing. So now we know that there's a spiritual eye. And if you keep your eye single, you focus it, your whole body shall be full of light. Because we're not talking about the physical world, their physical eyes, as we've already explained. So the third eye is the thalamus gland. Now, that little hook that's off one edge and the other hook, well, one is the pituitary and one is the pineal gland. What's so important about that, Dave? It's just ridiculous. Well, your thalamus gland, which is that whole eye, the little hook is the pituitary and the pineal, the mother and the father. Yeah. One secretes a little golden fluid. Another one excretes some like a little milk. That's the land of milk and honey. See, you want to go into the promised land, you got to eat from the milk and the honey. That's the best thing you can have. Right? Because it's not really milk and honey. Although, well, milk is for, nourishment and it's good, it's wonderful stuff. And honey is sweet. And so it's just kind of symbolic. But what we're looking for is that holy, holy, holy fluid. And today, scientists have a name for it. It's called, you have these they have these neurons in your body. And primarily they go up your spinal column and into your cerebral cortex. The reason they go up and down, your body, throughout your body, you may produce these neurons. And you have neurotransmitters like endorphins and dopamine and things like that, and serotonin. So, they come because the thalamus gland sends a message. It puts out, it basically says, come on, it sends for them, like sending out messengers. And the reason it does so, let's say that you're working real hard and you're starting to stress out. It's getting tough and your arm's getting tired. Where your body will send out neurotransmitters. And it will trigger the release of the endorphins. And, basically you've got this thing, your body will say, okay, I need to get rid of some of the pain. Or let's say there is pain and you need to rebuild and repair that part because the pain, you cut yourself or that's caused pain, right? So these endorphins, they know what to do, and they send transmitters up there and they say, okay, we need to heal this spot and we need to block the pain. So it sends out endorphins, and basically that's like opiates. Your body has opium in your body, natural opiates. And that's what those little things do. They're very, very small. And they block the pain. And they also go to your brain and your cerebral cortex and up through in there. And they trigger dopamine, which is your pleasure. It gives you pleasure. Euphoria. Well, it gives just enough, right? You're working hard. That's painful. You don't want to be in pain. So your body says, all right, we're going to let go of the pain here. And we're going to send some little euphoria. We're going to give you a little bit of pleasure so you can get through that. Well, what if there was a way to make your body perfect? What if there was a way to make you just feel great all the time? Well, there is. You can be happy. I'm drinking my coffee a little bit throughout this, so. But let's say that you've got some unusual stress. Well, before we get into that, let's just imagine that you find out that you can go and there's a plant called poppy. Now, a poppy, as you know, you can smoke the seeds, and it gives you this, it actually has opioids, and it does the same thing that your natural endorphins does. It gives you euphoria, takes away pain. But it also causes constipation and lowers your blood pressure. If you take too much of it, you can lower your blood pressure to the point where you stop breathing and you die. That's kind of dangerous because it's a plant. It can be used by a healer. But let's say that somebody goes out in the field and gets poppies and they think, well, this is great. I feel like euphoric. I love this stuff, and they start doing it every day. Because back in the day, I think they say that the Sumerians knew about opium. They, like 3,500 years before Christ, they were using it. So they knew all about it. They mention it in their ancient manuscripts. But over time, people began to realize that people would get addicted to it. And they made heroin. They had their pipes and they were smoking it all over China. And I guess one of their rulers about 1,500 years ago decided that to make a law that you could only use it for medical reasons, because people were using it recreationally every day because they liked it so much. And what happens is, when these little opioids go in, they do exactly like the endorphins in your body, and they give you euphoria. And you can take an overdose, you can take a lot and get even more happy and forget all your troubles. But what happens is your body starts producing its own endorphins, because after all, you're giving it, the body has to go into a new mode. It has to start releasing different chemicals, and it gets all confused. And then you don't take morphine or opiates or poppies or whatever one day. And all day long, the body's sending signals they need more, and your body can't produce it because it's shut that off. Now, this is a real good trick for the elite to enslave you. What happens now is you start getting erratic, bipolar, feelings of anger, because your body doesn't have any more endorphins to make you feel good. It's not natural. You've got an imbalance, a chemical imbalance. Yeah, you do. And guess who made that chemical imbalance? The doctors. And now, because you don't know what's going on, they say, well, look at this. You got angry and you're all upset and you're having stress. So, forget all about the fact that we're the ones caused the stress, right? We're breaking up marriages and putting your children in jail and stressing you out. That's a natural stress. And so you're feeling scared for a day or two. You'd be fine after you work it out and figure out your problems, and then you go back to normal. But you're all scared out of your mind, hyperventilating. You go into a doctor and say, I don't know what's going on. I'm so scared. I'm so stressed out. My kid's in jail. And the doctor's like, oh, don't worry. We'll give you some medication for that. Okay, anything. My leg hurts. Give me some codeine or some Oxycontin or some fentanyl, right? Fentanyl is like one of the biggest, deadliest things killing people coming across the border, right? And you know what that is? It's an opiate. It's a fake man-made opiate. What do you think they make that for? What's it for? Because it's a synthetic thing and it destroys your body's ability to be happy. And it's killing people, millions of people. But that's not the worst. I mean, supposedly that's the underground. But, the doctors are doing it right over the table. You pay them some pretty heavy price for it. They're making lots of money. The pharmaceutical companies are making billions of dollars. And all it's doing is depleting your ability to be happy. You cannot ever, it will take, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody that's been taking heroin and then tried to get off of it. You can't do it. Basically, you can't do it. I mean, if you didn't have any heroin, you could flip around in like an epileptic surgery episode, for days. Maybe you'd be angry and violent. You'd probably have to put you in jail. I mean, you'd be, wreathing around in pain and wringing your hands and running around and maybe stealing things, you'd back into jail, right? And then you get sent to the mental institution, and then they give you more medications, right? Well, you're just crazy. They know what they're doing. So the first episode you get, maybe when you're 17, you bust some things and you run out of the house, you run away or whatever your parents get. So, oh, I believe in the propaganda, and they say that my daughter must be bipolar, so I'm taking her to the doctor. I'm calling 911, That's the last thing you should ever do. They take them down, and now they've got your child on a 72-hour hold because, oh my goodness, she busted a vase. She broke the window, or she ran away, or she yelled at her mommy, or, yeah, well, we didn't tell the doctor that the night before mommy and daddy was beating the crap out of each other through, a big old rock through the window, and it was a terrible traumatic deal, and dad's leaving mom, and we stressed our kid out. We're not going to tell anybody that. We're just saying, hey, this kid's crazy. And the kid's not going to go tell on her mom, because she's going to sitting there, and she's going to say, you know what, my mom and dad's going to come get me. They love me. But, actually, they're not going to come get you, because mom has already gone through this for 20 years. And she's already been on the meds for 20 years, and she doesn't know who she is anymore. She doesn't even have any natural affection anymore, because she's been on these opioids or pills like that give you serotonin or dopamines or whatever, giving you this euphoria, and now you're completely addicted to it. The minute so now instead of your body naturally giving you happiness and all the things you're supposed to have, because it knows how to do it, it's perfect, made by our Father in heaven and our Mother in heaven. But now we got doctors that don't know what the hell they're doing. Well, let's see here. We'll put a little of this and a little of that and put it in a pill, shake it up, and call me in the morning. Oh, doctor, put the lime in the coconut and, mix it all together. That's not going to work, as much as I like limes and coconuts. But you see, the doctor, even if he was honest and he was capable and he had ability to know exactly how much serotonin you need for the day, right? Your body changes from moment to moment. When you have a crisis, you need more. Oh, well, we'll up the dose, that was hours ago. Sorry, I've already dealt with the problem now. I went out there and killed a guy. It's over. Well, what do you do that for? You're an evil person. No. I was on medications, out of my mind. You don't know what you're doing, doctor. Excuse me, but you've created Frankenstein. It's alive. No, it's just crazy. And this is the predicament we're in. So you say, well, I ain't going to take these no more. I'm going to quit. Tomorrow, you feel so angry. But you don't know why you feel angry. You think it's just you. You're evil. How could you feel so? The world's so meaningless. Oh, it's so terrible. I don't think there's no meaning. You don't even know what meaning is. All you're doing is you're looking at the trees and the flowers, which normally, once upon a time, made you happy, right? In calm pleasantry, you spoke with, over the table with your family. How was your day? Oh, I'm taking this course in school, and I'm very happy, and I've got a boyfriend, and I'm very, But that's over now. None of it makes any sense. I just don't know why I'm unhappy. I've got a boyfriend, and I'm taking good grades in school, and I certainly can go outside, and I'm a free person, and there's beautiful trees and flowers, and we have a nice home and a nice car, and I just don't know why, but I feel like killing somebody. Well, you've been taking some kind of pharmaceutical drug. And if not, if you're having just some problems that last a few days, maybe you've gone through a terrible crisis. All right? Thank God that your Father in heaven has got the ability, like if you really get hurt, your body goes into shock. That's the same principle. It rushes down a bunch of endorphins down in there, and it stops the pain. And you don't feel you got your hand cut off. You just, you get into an accident or whatever. You don't even feel it. It hurts for a minute, and then the pain goes away because your body knows how to stop it. But then they take you in and they give you, you must have that must be very painful. We'll take you in and give you some opioids for that. Okay, a couple of months later, you're still on the opioids. It's already healed up. Well, I don't understand, just chronic pain. It's always hurting. Well, the reason it hurts is because you don't have the ability anymore. You don't have any more your endocrine system isn't working. The serotonin is not flowing. It's gone dormant. It takes months to get through this. And your anxiety and your stress level goes through the roof. You can't get off the drug. You're stuck on it now. And this is how our world is destroying us. Probably half the world is on some kind of drug that's doing this in one way or the other. Some more so than others. Hey, Dave, I thought you were going to tell us how we could have happiness and eternal life, and now you're talking about, the pharmaceutical companies. That's just crazy. Well, I need to tell you about this to see how this works and how it literally does work. How it works actually, and what's going on, so we can get to the real point. But first, I want you to understand that they've been dealing with this for a long, long time. Well, I thought you believed in herbs, Dave, and the cannabis and stuff like that, and that's the tree of life you were telling us, and I believe that. I believe Jesus used it. But you see, when people used cannabis, they weren't running around using farm equipment, or going into a boxing match with Mike Tyson. They knew what they were doing. They were healers. They were shamans, and they didn't do it every day. With special occasions. It was religious ceremonies. And they did more than just take cannabis or opioids or the lotus flower or kinnikinnick or peyote. They also sat in a very calm meditative state. They lit the candle or the incense in the tent of meeting. And they had fragrances and candles. And they meditated. And they didn't just meditate on nothing. They meditated on the Holy Scripture, pictures, music. Certain music can drive you insane. Certain music can give you more endorphins and dopamine that will make you happy and euphoric. But if you're angry and all stressed out and you're playing the music at the same time, it might not work. So you have to sit in a quiet place. If you do even cannabis every day, what happens is that, let's say you start doing cannabis around 6 o'clock at night. You get off work, come home, you start doing cannabis. Well, you start enjoying it. It really is great. It feels relaxing and everything, and you're doing this every night. But what you find is that in the mornings, you start feeling kind of unhappy. Just cut off from feelings that you remember you used to have. It's like you just wonder, what's the point? What's the purpose? And then every evening after you start doing the cannabis, you start thinking, whoa, wow, I'm actually pretty happy. This is pretty great. For some reason, I look at the flowers and it makes me happy now, right? I just think about things and my mom and memories and my day, and everything's great. But then I wake up in the morning and I can hardly get to work. I can't stand work. I can't stand people. I see flowers. I just want to, I don't care. Well, what's happening is that you're replacing your natural chemical reactions with drugs. You're not doing it right. And you're actually making it worse. So, they did this here in America after the Civil War. There was a lot of people who was very unhappy, and they'd witnessed a lot of death. They had to murder their own brothers and sisters in the Civil War. And there was a lot of depression. They didn't have these words then. Oh, you're bipolar, son. They didn't have those words. They just said, hey, I just don't feel good. I'm depressed. I don't like life. And they knew what it was. They'd just been in a war. So somebody invented basically a thing called cough syrup. And you guys are still using it. But now it doesn't have heroin in it. But it used to have heroin in it. And they thought, well, that will take away all the pain, give people euphoria, and it'll cure everybody. Well, so Americans started taking, I think more than a third of Americans were addicted to this cough syrup. They were giving it to babies. And everybody started getting violent. Maybe that was their plan. Because the euphoria eventually wears off. You can't just chug on, cough syrup all day long. You do it in the evenings. You got addicted to it. You went to work, and while you're at work, you're beating a few people up, and stealing and hitting and, arguing and fighting, and everybody's, it's a terrible problem. But you see, it wasn't that it was unintentional. It was intentional. They know exactly what they're doing. That's why they started this program with Prozac and all these other different Zoloft or whatever, these drugs that they're getting. They got new ones there. I don't know what the newest one is, but they're back in the 60s, they were giving people Valium, and it's been a problem for a long time. And they know what they're doing. They're making us insane. They're making us unhappy. Remember, their goal is to get us to a place where we cannot learn. Because when you are in that state of euphoria or happiness, which is our natural state, you can talk to God, my friends. The reason you can't talk to God, you know some of your friends that they talk to God all the time. That's probably because they're not on any medications. Or maybe they're only talking to God when they're on the medication. See, because that little pituitary gland and the pineal gland, those are the ones that's excreting these hormones, these beautiful, the serotonin and the dopamine and all of this stuff that gives you the euphoria and the happiness and takes away all the pain. How does it do it? Well, you have the neurons inside the body, and you have, you have peripheral pain, like, your hand hurts, the skin, you prick, acupuncture, and certain outer bodily pains. And then you have drugs that are able to stop that pain by blocking it. But then you also have drugs that go in and feed your thalamus with either a fake endorphin or something that replaces your bodily components. A drug basically deadens part of your sensory perception in a way. And so it's kind of like when you go to sleep. Now, when you sleep happy, you can feel upset. You can have nightmares. But sometimes, usually, sleep, as long as you're in a pretty good mood, something stressful or terrible bad's not happening, usually, if you don't have a terrible chemical imbalance induced by drugs and some problem like that, or maybe you don't have the function of one of your glands because of some medical condition or something. But normally, people, when they sleep, the body automatically goes into kind of a euphoria and brings up pictures, and you go to different places and see your friends, and you kind of live out different fantasies. And that's when the body's healing. It's healing itself. And this is these little endorphins and these little neurons that are running around and transmitters and stuff like that. And they're repairing, sending out different hormones that all do different things. Well, the peripheral of your brain, and this includes your spinal cord, basically, the neurons go throughout your body. But basically, the peripheral is the weight. Remember we said the negative is, the flow goes from the positive to negative. All right, so the sun is where the source of everything is. And then the outer solar system is where the planets form. That's the negative. And we are receiving sunlight or energy from the sun. Now, the negative is the where the mass builds up and makes matter. So the spiritual is in the center, the light. God is light. So the peripheral is always the mass. In an atom, you have the proton, and around the outside, you have the electrons, which is electricity. It's a vibration. And depending on how much mass, it develops more electrons. And that's the negative. So in your brain, you have a flow of energy from the center, which is the light, which is your consciousness, and that's the thalamus. That's the third eye. That's receiving the light from a higher source. Remember, all light, there's no time and space in the light. So all light is connected. There's no time and space. It's just all one. So the light within you is the light within me. And the light within us is the light within Christ. And Christ's light is with God. And God is in you, in the temple. The light is in you. So the light is shining to the peripheral. What is the peripheral? The mass, the thought forms. The thought forms are all the structure that we build around us. Well, what is it the first thing when you start to forget? You take a drug and you have short-term memory loss. Well, you see somebody's got Alzheimer's, they can remember what they did in 1923. When they went fishing, they know the dog's name, they know the cat they had, their grandma, they're remembering their mother, and their mother was young, and they don't remember who you are. Because that's short-term memory. That's the outer, recent details. They forget all of that. They can remember the inner core, but the peripheral they don't get. Now, what is on the peripheral? The pain, the facts and figures, and the mass, the negative. Hate, maybe. So if you take a drug and you start putting the brain to sleep, which includes all these neurons, because these little neuron transmitters are running all over your body, and signals are being produced all over, and it's saying, I want more neurons that are being produced throughout your body. They have neuron receptors in all parts of your body. But what controls it is the thalamus, the pituitary, and the pineal, and the endocrine system. So if you take a drug and it starts to deaden you, you feel like you're leaving your body. I mean, morphine, if you take it, enough of it, your body just goes to sleep. You completely, whoosh, everything's dead. You're still alive. If you could, monitor what that person's thinking, even though their body is like, they're not breathing, they're just laying there in a coma. But they're dreaming about paradise, and they're with their mommy, and all the peripheral's gone. The touch, the pain. And all they got's euphoria. See, what we want is, we're living in the world, but we want a balance. We want to be happy. We don't want to lay out on a stretcher and just dream our life, because that's not a real life. We're still attached to the body. We're still in this world. We got to live out this world, but we want to be balanced, and we want to be happy, not negative and stressed out and unhappy. We want to have the things that we wish to have. Whatsoever we ask, we shall receive. But all of the negative stuff, the material, The saying is, I just feel weighted down with all of my troubles. I just feel a big weight on my back. That's that negative mass. And so sometimes drugs make you feel better because they can help you forget about all the negative. The pain, the physical pain, is related to the negative thoughts. But again, it's unnatural to use drugs like that as a substitute for natural, proper living. So how do we live in a natural state? How are we supposed to use these drugs appropriately? How are we are we even supposed to use drugs if they're doing all of this problem? Well, most of these drugs that people are taking that are causing such terrible problems are chemicals. Maybe they've gone to the poppy and they've extracted. They started off by purifying the opium, and they made heroin. Well, that's very strong, and then they started taking it every day and that kind of thing. And it wasn't meant for that. It's meant for severe pains and certain rituals, holy rituals, and things. It's not meant to be taken every day. That's not what these things are meant for. And now it's gone to fentanyl and stuff like that, which are completely pharmaceutical chemicals that aren't even, they mimic opioids, but they're not even opioids. And they're causing millions of deaths. And this is true of just about all these mental drugs like, Zoloft or whatever, Valium or any other kind of pharmaceutical drugs. They're just causing you damage. And these doctors don't know what they're doing. They're not healers at all. They're drug pushers. And you know what drugs do to people. They're lying around the street with their crack pipes and they're dying. And they're violent and they're angry. See, because it only gives you a high for a little bit, and then you start going through withdrawals. Your body can't create happiness no more. And now you're walking around a zombie, an angry person. But the same effect is being done in the world. The elite know that they want you stressed out so that you will be a zombie, so they can get more of you in jail. That way they can get more tax money out of you. You got to pay for the prisons, and you got to pay for the lawyers, and you got to pay for the fines. And it's stressing you out. And when you get out on the street, you're going to be imbalanced, and you're going to do some more damage. And you're going to hate yourself, and you're going to hate others, and you're going to go out and commit crimes. And the world runs on crime. The elite make a lot of money off of crime, off of you. And not only that, as long as you're in that state, you'll never find nirvana. You'll never find bliss. You'll never be happy. And they don't want you to be happy, because you can't become like God unless you have this spiritual knowledge, that third eye open. You're closing your third eye. If you're a person who lives in this world and you're involved in all the stress, running around like a slave, taking all of their pharmaceutical drugs, you're going to be anywhere from a depressed, lonely, painful individual, it's just not happy, all the way to a crazed, bipolar, schizophrenic, violent criminal. Anywhere in that range is where 90% of the people are in this world, because we're letting them do this to us. But you see, what's interesting is that through all of this, we can come to a conclusion that's going to actually help us. Your body has endorphins, and some endorphins are actually more powerful than any opiate that they can give you. You can achieve liberation from the negative, the depression, the troubles. You can have euphoria, even without the drugs. The only reason we use drugs is as a training mechanism. Because if you didn't even know that you can close off the carnal five senses and receive that rushing spiritual enlightenment, if you didn't even know it exists, you wouldn't even know to do it. You've got to teach people. So, in the hands of a real shaman priest, now a lot of these modern shamans today probably don't know what they're doing. They only are shamans and gurus in name. Many people claim to be apostles or prophets or visionaries or teachers, and they're not, and they don't know what they're doing. And they can fool you and say, oh, take this drug, and you say, oh, this feels great for a couple of days. And then you go back to the doctor and you say, oh my goodness, now I feel like hurting somebody, I don't know what happened. I'm getting worse. Oh yeah, we thought you would. Yeah, you've got a very bad condition, sir. Oh, you're going to have to up your dose here. Oh, okay, thanks. And you go away a couple of days. This is great. A couple of days later, oh man, whoo, I'm really getting bad now. I almost killed the cat. Oh man, oh well, see, oh boy, you're really degenerating there, sir. We're going to have to put you on a different medication. We didn't realize it's so bad. Oh, buddy, now they got you down into a coma. You're drooling and you're in an institution. Well, we tried to tell your parents, get you into the hospital sooner, but they didn't do it. So now you're an invalid, that's all right. Well, thank God we caught it, we got him locked up now. This is the process that they're doing with all of you. Maybe they start by taking your children, threatening you. Anyway, but what you got to do is understand the real truth. That you are complete within yourself and that your own opioids are within your own body. You even got cannabinoids in your body. Do you know this? You have many drugs natural in your body that causes euphoria. You're actually supposed to be euphoric all the time. The only problem is that you're living in a world, an environment that's wrong and it's stressed out. You need to meditate upon the Word of God in a quiet place. Exercise causes, some people say that when they go running or lifting weights or whatever, exercise gives them a little bit of a euphoria, a feeling. But, you're not going to go out and start lifting weights and feel, euphoric all the time. But it certainly does make you a happier person if you're exercising and your weight is good and you're eating properly. Let's say you're eating sugar every day. Same thing, friends. It's just like having a drug. It depletes your body of certain hormones. What people take when they got diabetes. There's, I can't remember the name, the word right now, but people have to take a syringe when they have diabetes because that's a hormone that your liver creates that or your pancreas creates that you don't have the ability to make anymore, simply because you're eating sugar all the time. Same thing when you go out and you take opioids all the time and now you can't get off of them. It takes months. Friends, if you just stop taking sugar and white flour, within a few months you're going to be cured of diabetes. Your body will begin to create its own hormones back again and the diabetes will go away. And they know this, friends. They know it. But they don't want you to know it. Well, now you know. So, sleeping gives you needed hormones, heals, takes away pain, gives you euphoric feelings. You need the proper rest. If you're not getting enough rest, then maybe you're drinking too much coffee. Caffeine can make you too stressed and you're just drinking Diet Cokes is just as bad as regular Cokes. Maybe worse. The sugar and all of these other little chemicals that they're putting in the Diet Cokes is causing you to be, you don't notice it. You think, well, I don't feel bad. I feel pretty good, Dave. Well, give me another Diet Coke. Well, are you completely happy? Are you euphoric? Well, no, Dave, nobody's euphoric. Well, that's the problem because everybody's drinking Diet Coke or coffee or regular Coke or sugar or candy or pizza or lasagna. All of it, lasagna is this is a chemical. Well, lasagna is not a chemical, Dave. That's wheat. Wheat's a food. No, they take the wheat, they take off the bran, which is what absorbs the, soluble fiber, which absorbs the sugar so that it gives you, if you're going to take sugar, you got to have fiber. Anyway, won't get into that. And then they take the endosperm and they put it in, the little white part of the wheat and they soak it in bleach and peroxide. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's supposed to be brown, and they soak it. What that does is it extracts all the vitamins, the natural nutrients of every kind, and the natural oils. In other words, everything that was supposed to be in that's called food is gone now. And you're left with a little piece of styrofoam, and that's white flour. It's just, or a little chemical or some kind of whatever it is that's left. It's not food. It's very bad for you because, like I said, if sugar without the fiber is bad for you, or calcium without, magnesium, without sulfur, without certain things, is bad for you. Without K2, you have to have a food, a whole food. You can't be taking chemicals. That's why when you go out and take a natural herb, it's completely different than taking some pharmaceutical drug. It's very deadly, and they know what they're doing. They're giving you the sugar. See, for those of you that are smart enough, that won't go to the pharmaceutical companies, well, they get you with the Twinkies and the Diet Cokes and the McDonald's and all these things. I'm not saying you can't go get a cup of coffee once in a while in the morning, but I'm saying in moderation. You shouldn't be taking all the sugar. You should never drink sugar drinks or sugar foods or white flour again. It's not going to let you be euphoric. So if you go out in nature, flowers give you euphoria. Pictures, thoughts of serenity. Nature walks, exercise, the right diet, proper sleep, meditation upon the Word of God and prayer, and you will find God, my friends. You will find the divine light. And your third eye will be opened. Because when you get to that place, that state, then whatever you ask you shall receive. And why is it you can't receive? Why can't God hear me when I'm in this pain? Well, He hears you. But you also have to have faith. Remember, we talked about receiving what you give, you shall receive. It's just a natural higher law. You must have this positive thinking. Just like, okay, if you want your body to heal, well, then you have to send down certain hormones into these little opioid receptors to block the pain and to send down other little things that go in and start healing. You're not going to heal if you don't sleep. You have to go into REM sleep. Do you REM sleep? Do you get good rest? Then your body can't heal. Is your blood, your blood sending all the nutrients to the body to heal? Just like a freight train or a diesel engine, or, with a cargo in the back. You just say, I've got all the lumber and all the nails and everything I need to build this house, but yet you don't have a truck to get it to the site. You got all your workers down there with hammers and nails and stuff, but there's no materials. They can't build your house. They can't fix your body because your blood is so impure. The liver's not working. You can't get the nutrients in through your kidneys and your liver into your blood because you haven't, for whatever reason, you're not eating a balanced diet. So you're feeling sick, and that's giving you stress. And you're not able to find a place of rest in your mind, and the third eye is closed, and the little pineal gland is got calcium buildup, and it's sluggish, and it won't even open to send the receptors or to send the opioids or the endorphins. And this is causing the dopamine to not go into the inner cortex and give you that euphoria that you need, the happiness, which is not, it doesn't mean your happiness depends on a chemical. It means that you're already happy in your spiritual self, but you're in this body and you have no contact with God. You have no contact with your real self, your spirit. All the peripheral pain is causing you so much discomfort that you cannot even hear God talking when He's talking to you. You see, if you could hear God, you would hear the most amazing things you've ever heard in your life. You would know who you are. You would feel peace. You would have absolute tranquility and happiness. But you have not heard God's voice in 30 years, my friend. They had you addicted to everything you could think of by the time you were 12. The last time you remembered your past life was probably when you were 4, bouncing on your daddy's knee. And he said, now, young man, you better get up and go to work. Right? Do everything you're told. Don't you be happy. Don't you be playing and running around like that, friend. Oh, well, Daddy, I'm just playing over here. Don't you play. That's enough playing. I'll beat your ass. Okay, well, you learned real quick. You're not supposed to be happy. And then they start giving you cake and candies and, well, that'll give you energy. We'll put that in his lunchbox and send him to school. Now go learn a bunch of ignorant stuff that means nothing. But Daddy, I already know nope, don't, that's ridiculous. You're just a dreamer, boy. You're the dreamer. Well, so was Newton. Well, don't contradict your dad now. So, you see, we don't hear God anymore. We actually get to the point now we don't even believe in God. We ain't heard him. Nobody's heard him. The scientists don't know him. They're using facts and figures. They can't remember. They're no geniuses. They got to carry the one and, bring down the 3. They got to have a system because their brain don't work. You don't even need math if you go into a reverie, right? I don't know if you've ever taken some mushrooms. I haven't. But, there are people that tell me that they just become one with people around them. They're sitting there, and the person right next to them, they experience the reality of that all the universe is one. Now, you don't want to be taking mushrooms every day, but you want to be able to know what is really true. You need to be able to have communication with the real self, the spirit. To be one with the universe, to be one with God. But you still need to live in the world, and you have to take care of your children and take care of your elders and go find shelter and things. You have to live in the world. You have to be conscious of the world. But when you go to sleep at night, or when you get off and you relax in the evening, you want to be able to be in a place where when you pray, you get an answer. And you're not there because of all this that I've been telling you. So anyway, I think we've come to the end of the video we're going to do today. We're over an hour now, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about this because this is very important that we understand how we're going to find happiness and serenity and how we can find God. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good one.